Have you ever looked at an image and thought, I wish I could recreate that exactly, but how do I do it? Well, you're not alone. The idea of generating the perfect replica of an image can feel impossible, especially when it comes to getting every detail just right. But what if I told you that there's a way to do it, a way to create that exact same image without any text or extra elements, just pure visual perfection? In this video, we're diving deep into the world of image generation and how you can use the right prompts to make sure the output matches your expectations exactly. Whether you're a content creator, an artist, or just someone curious about how digital tools can enhance your creative process, this story is for you. I'll walk you through how to craft a prompt that leads to an image that's as close to the original as possible, without losing the essence of what you saw in that first picture. Stick with me as we break down the steps, troubleshoot common mistakes, and reveal how precision in your wording can lead to better, more accurate results. You won't believe how easy it can be to generate the exact image you've been dreaming of. But before we get to that, let me show you something that might just blow your mind. So, here's the thing, getting that perfect image, the one that matches what you had in mind, is not as simple as just typing a few words into a tool. There's more to it than that. Over time, I've seen many people struggle with this, whether it's for social media content, blog posts, or even personal projects. They try to generate an image that looks like the one in their head, but it's never quite right. The colors are off, the perspective's wrong, or it just doesn't capture the mood they were hoping for. I've been there myself, staring at a screen, frustrated because the results never live up to what I imagined. The truth is, generating an image that's an exact match requires an understanding of how the system works, knowing which details matter most, and how to communicate that effectively. You can't just type a generic description, you need precision. That's when I started digging deeper, experimenting with different prompts, and testing what works. It wasn't easy. There were plenty of moments where I felt like I was chasing a ghost, trying to get the system to understand my vision. But something started to click. Slowly, I began to see patterns. I realized that the more specific and descriptive my prompts were, the closer I could get to what I truly wanted. Still, there was this lingering question. Could it ever be perfect? Could I ever get that one image I had in mind, exactly as I envisioned it? That's where the real mystery lies, and the answers, well, they might just surprise you. But before we explore that, let me show you how to fine-tune your approach so you don't waste another minute. As I dove deeper into this challenge, the tension started to build. The more I worked on refining my prompts, the more I began to notice something strange. Sometimes, the image would come out nearly perfect, but there would be one tiny detail, an overlooked shadow, a misplaced color, that would throw everything off. It was frustrating, like trying to build a puzzle with one missing piece, no matter how hard I tried. It seemed like the system was close, but not quite there yet. There was always something just beyond reach, something that kept the image from being a perfect match. At the same time, I started to hear similar stories from others who were also working with image generation tools. One friend, a photographer, shared how they tried to recreate a stunning landscape shot they took on vacation. The colors were off, the skies never looked as vibrant, and no matter how many times they reworded the prompt, it never came out as they had hoped. Another artist, trying to generate a perfect replica of their own digital painting, faced the same issue. The style was slightly distorted, the lines less crisp than the original. It was almost as if there was some invisible force, some unspoken rule, that prevented these systems from fully understanding the depth and nuance of human creativity. That's when I started to wonder, was it the technology itself that was holding me back, or was it the way we were interacting with it? Maybe we had all been approaching this wrong. Perhaps there was something we were missing, some hidden trick that would unlock the full potential of these tools. And so I kept pushing forward, determined to uncover that key. But as I got closer to the answer, I couldn't shake the feeling that there was something much bigger at play, something far beyond just perfecting image generation. What if this entire journey led me to discover something more than I ever expected? Something that would change the way I looked at creativity and technology forever. As I continued to experiment, I felt myself getting closer to a breakthrough. The more I tweaked the details in my prompts, the more it seemed like I was just a step away from achieving perfection. But then, out of nowhere, I hit a wall. I tried one final test, a combination of every trick I had learned so far. I was confident this time. I knew it had to work, there was no way it couldn't. But when I hit generate, the result was nothing like I expected. It was all wrong. The covers were off, the textures were distorted, and the scene I had envisioned, my perfect image, was nowhere to be found. I stared at the screen, unsure of what had just happened. For a moment, I thought it might just be a glitch. But the more I looked at the image, the more I realized it wasn't just a mistake. Something else was happening. Maybe it was a sign that there was a deeper issue at play, something I hadn't accounted for. Was I pushing the technology too hard? Was there a limit to how close we could get to the real thing? I couldn't let this failure define the journey, though. I knew I had to keep pushing forward, no matter how many times I faced setbacks. But the tension was rising. I had a nagging feeling that I was on the verge of uncovering something big, something that could change everything. The problem was, I wasn't sure if I was ready for what I might discover. As the hours ticked by, I couldn't help but feel a strange unease creeping in. Was I getting too close to the truth, or had I already crossed a line I couldn't come back from? The answers were tantalizingly close, but every time I thought I was about to crack the code, the system would throw me off course, and that nagging feeling, it wouldn't go away. What if I was missing something crucial, just a single detail that could unlock the perfect image? My mind raced. Could the perfect image even exist in the way I had imagined it? Just as I was about to give up, something unexpected happened. I decided to take a step back and review everything I'd done up to that point, every tweak, every word in the prompt. And that's when it hit me. I realized I hadn't been considering one crucial detail all along, the very nature of the system itself. I had been treating it like a simple tool, something I could manipulate with just a few words. But what if it wasn't that straightforward? What if the system wasn't just responding to prompts the way I thought it was? A sudden thought gripped me. What if the image generation tools were actually learning from our interactions, evolving with each prompt we fed them? What if I was unknowingly shaping the results in ways I couldn't fully understand? The more I thought about it, the more I began to see the possibility that there was a deeper, almost hidden layer to this technology, one that went beyond simple instructions. I dug deeper, looking into the system's processes, and what I discovered left me stunned. Apparently, the tool wasn't just generating images from scratch. It was pulling from a vast database of images, synthesizing elements from all over the place, trying to predict what I might want based on its previous encounters. The more I learned about this, the more I realized that I had been approaching this all wrong. The system wasn't just a blank canvas to be controlled. It had its own set of biases, its own history of data, shaping how it responded. That realization raised the stakes. I wasn't just battling a tool anymore. I was up against the very nature of how creativity and artificial intelligence intersected. The system wasn't just about me making a perfect prompt. It was about understanding its limitations, its hidden algorithms. And now, with this new knowledge, I was faced with a terrifying question. Was there any way to truly control the output, or was I forever at the mercy of the system's unpredictable nature? I had to figure it out, because this could change everything. With this newfound understanding, I decided to try something completely different. Instead of focusing solely on perfecting the prompt, I began testing how small changes in my descriptions influenced the final outcome. It was as if I had unlocked a secret code, a way to make the system work with me, not just for me. I was no longer merely crafting a description. I was having a conversation with the algorithm itself, learning its language and working with its quirks. After several more attempts, I finally felt it. The moment of truth had arrived. I typed in what I thought would be my final prompt, the one that would pull everything together. The anticipation was unbearable as I clicked generate. Seconds felt like hours as the image slowly came to life on the screen, and when it finally appeared, it was everything I had hoped for. The details matched my vision perfectly: the colors, the composition, the mood. It was as close to the original image as I could have possibly imagined. I had done it. But just as I began to celebrate, something strange happened. As I stared at the screen, a faint shift occurred in the image. The shadows seemed to deepen, the lighting changing in subtle ways that I hadn't adjusted for. At first, I thought it was just a glitch. But then I realized this wasn't just a random alteration. It was as though the system had taken my image and improved it. It was subtle, but undeniably different, almost as if it had inserted its own artistic touch into the image without my input. I sat there in shock, wondering how that could have happened. It was as if the system, without me even asking, had taken my perfect prompt and pushed it to another level. I have been trying to control every detail, but in the end, the technology had shaped the outcome in a way I couldn't have anticipated. And for the first time, I wasn't frustrated. I was amazed. In the search for perfection, I found something even more surprising: a partnership with the technology that was more creative and unpredictable than I could have ever imagined. As the image before me morphed just a bit more, I couldn't help but wonder if this was where the real future of creativity was heading. A world where humans and machines didn't just create together, but where they constantly pushed each other to new heights. The question lingered in my mind: would I ever truly control the process, or had I just opened a door to something far bigger than I could have ever imagined? As I sat back and reflected on the journey, I realized that what had started as a simple experiment to recreate an image had transformed into something much deeper. The process had challenged my ideas about creativity, technology, and control. I had gone from feeling frustrated and helpless to discovering a dynamic, unpredictable partnership with the image generation tool. It wasn't about perfecting the prompts or following a set of rules. It was about embracing the imperfections, the surprises, and the collaboration between human intuition and machine learning. The system had pushed me to think differently, to see that creativity doesn't always need to be controlled or planned. Sometimes, the best results come from letting go of rigid expectations and allowing the technology to add its own touch. The final image I generated wasn't just a perfect replica of what I had envisioned, it was something more. It was a reflection of the evolving relationship between humans and machines, where each side brings its own strengths and flaws to the table. In the end, I realized that the real beauty of this process lies not in achieving perfection, but in embracing the unexpected. Whether you're an artist, a content creator, or simply someone experimenting with new technology, this journey taught me an important lesson. Sometimes, the best creative outcomes come from working together with the tools we use, not trying to control them entirely. As for what's next, I'm excited to see where this new partnership takes me, and I can't wait to see what you create too.